It was a quiet afternoon at the small Pennsylvania train station, the kind of place where the air carries a faint scent of steel and diesel, and the hum of distant trains is almost meditative. Veterans sometimes came here for therapy walks, enjoying the fresh air and a bit of routine. Among them was George, a retired soldier, wheelchair-bound, enjoying the calm and the sound of the nearby tracks. Beside him was Titan, his Great Dane. Towering, muscular, and unbelievably alert, Titan had been George's companion for years. Not just a pet, but a protector, a friend, a silent guardian who had shared the highs and lows of George's life since his service days. Today, though, the peaceful station was about to become a scene George would never forget. George was slowly making his way along the platform, the wheels of his chair clicking lightly against the concrete. Titan walked beside him, head held high, ears twitching at every sound. The wind rustled through the trees beyond the station, and far off, a train whistle echoed. Nothing seemed unusual until a subtle misalignment of the wheelchair sent it slightly veering toward the tracks. George barely noticed it at first, distracted by the whistle, the breeze, the gentle warmth of the sun. Titan, on the other hand, noticed immediately. His ears pricked, eyes locked on the wheels, inching dangerously close to the rail. His body stiffened, muscles coiling like springs. There was no hesitation. He let out a sharp bark, not a playful bark, but a commanding, urgent bark that seemed to say, "Stop. Danger." Now, George looked down, startled, but the chair had already begun rolling closer to the tracks. Seconds mattered. Titan lunged forward with precision, positioning himself between George and the edge. He braced his massive shoulders, leaned into the chair, and pushed with all his strength. The wheels scraped against the edge of the platform, but Titan's sheer size and determination prevented them from tipping over. George felt a rush of adrenaline, heart pounding. "Titan, wait. Be careful," he shouted, fumbling for the brakes. But it was Titan who took control. From a distance, a faint rumble began to grow louder, the sound of an oncoming train, fast and unstoppable. The platform trembled as the first vibrations reached them. George's eyes widened. Time seemed to stretch. He realized, in a heartbeat, that they were dangerously close to the tracks. If the chair tipped now, the consequences would be fatal. Titan reacted instantly. With a burst of strength and speed that seemed almost superhuman, he grabbed the edge of the wheelchair with his strong jaws and massive paws, pulling it back onto the platform. George held on tightly, barely able to believe the raw power and focus of his companion. Titan barked again, circling, nudging, ensuring the chair was safely positioned. The train's whistle grew louder, closer, the sound reverberating through George's chest. Passers-by on the platform turned, noticing the unusual scene. A massive Great Dane straining against a wheelchair, the hum of steel approaching rapidly. Some shouted, warning George, while others simply froze, watching, astonished at what they were witnessing. Titan didn't falter. His eyes stayed locked on George, body coiled like a spring, muscles trembling with tension, responding instantly to the slightest movement of the wheelchair. The dog knew that a split second could mean life or death. George tried to move himself further back, but the wheels had partially lodged near the rail. Without Titan, there would have been no chance. And then, in a moment that felt suspended in time, Titan heaved the chair completely back onto solid ground. The train approached with a deafening roar, lights gleaming like fire in the late afternoon sun. George's heart raced, the wind from the train whipping past. He looked down at Titan, who now sat, panting lightly but alert, eyes scanning the tracks to ensure no danger remained. The seconds had stretched into eternity, but they were safe. The bystanders broke into applause, some rushing forward, but George could barely speak. His voice was hoarse with relief. "Titan, you saved me. You saved me." Titan blinked slowly, tail flicking gently, almost acknowledging the words, but with no hint of arrogance or showiness. This was instinct, loyalty, courage, all in action. George reached down, hugging Titan, feeling the warmth, the strength, the unwavering presence that had just kept him alive. That's where part 1 ends, the moment of initial danger, the introduction of the Great Dane, and the suspenseful seconds before the train. Titan has already acted heroically, setting the stage for part 2, where the tension and cinematic action escalate even further and the rescue reaches its full intensity. The rumble of the approaching train grew louder, a relentless thunder rolling through the small Pennsylvania station. George's eyes widened in panic, wheels inches from the edge, the platform vibrating beneath them. Every second counted. He could barely breathe, heart hammering, as the deafening whistle cut through the afternoon air. But Titan, massive and alert, didn't hesitate. Every muscle in his body was coiled, every sense sharpened, focused entirely on the mission: keep George alive. Titan lunged forward, bracing himself against the wheelchair. His paws dug into the concrete, his shoulders pressed against the frame, and with a heave of immense strength, he rocked the chair back onto safe ground. The metal wheels scraped the edge, but Titan's size and force were enough to prevent disaster. George gripped the handles, barely able to believe the raw power and precision of his companion. The train's lights glinted off the rails, growing brighter, a relentless monster closing in. Titan barked sharply, circling the chair, nudging it further from danger, eyes never leaving the tracks. The whistle screamed again, ears ringing, adrenaline coursing through George's veins. The seconds felt like minutes. Passers-by froze, gasping, unable to comprehend the intensity of the moment. Then came a small misstep. George's chair began to tip slightly toward the rail. Instantly, Titan reacted. With a burst of agility that belied his massive frame, he lunged, jaws gripping the side of the chair, paws digging deep, pulling backward with every ounce of his strength. George felt himself shifting safely, the momentum redirected just enough to avoid disaster. The train was closer now, the ground trembling under its approach. Every second was precious. Titan barked again, a commanding, urgent sound that carried authority. He lunged once more, nudging George and the chair further from the edge. The roar of the train grew deafening, a tidal wave of metal and sound rushing toward them. George clutched Titan's neck, eyes wide, heart racing, whispering frantic encouragements. "Go, Titan! Hurry!" The dog responded instantly, tail stiff, paws planted, strength radiating as he leveraged his full weight to move the chair. The crowd around them shouted warnings, some cheering, some frozen in disbelief. "Pull him back," someone yelled. Titan's coordination was precise. He shifted his weight, maneuvering the wheelchair away from the tracks with a combination of speed, strength, and intelligence. It was cinematic, the massive Great Dane acting with instinctive heroism, saving a human life in real time against an unstoppable threat. George's chair teetered dangerously, then Titan twisted his massive body, shoulders braced, gripping the chair with jaw and paws, and heaved it fully onto safe ground just as the train thundered past. The wheels clattered against the platform edge but didn't slip, and the massive machine roared by, lights blazing, the vibration fading as it passed. The platform erupted in applause. People rushed forward, some crying, others cheering. George sat in shock, chest heaving, trembling from relief and adrenaline. He reached down, hugging Titan around the neck, burying his face in the dog's thick fur. You saved me." "Seconds. Titan, seconds," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. The dog leaned into him, tail flicking lightly, panting but alert, as if acknowledging the praise yet fully aware of the danger they had just avoided. Titan's bravery wasn't flashy. It was instinctive, precise, and unwavering. He had read the subtle shift of the wheelchair, gauged the seconds before the train arrived, and acted decisively. Every paw strike, every nudge, every heave of his massive frame had been perfect timing. He had faced a life-or-death situation and emerged victorious, a silent hero in the chaos. Mark, George's longtime friend and caretaker, arrived moments later, having witnessed part of the drama from across the platform. He knelt beside Titan, stroking his head. "I've never seen anything like it. You just saved him. You saved his life." Titan barked softly, sitting proudly yet calmly, aware of the heroism he had displayed but not boasting, simply present, vigilant, ready for anything. George finally found his voice. I can't believe it. Titan, you are amazing. I owe you my life." The words were simple, but heavy with gratitude and awe. Around them, the bystanders continued to murmur, some snapping photos, others just staring, incredulous at the courage and intelligence of the Great Dane. The train's rumble faded into the distance, leaving the platform quiet except for the panting of Titan and George's deep breaths. Every muscle in George's body relaxed as reality sank in. They had survived. Titan remained close, eyes sweeping the area, tail slowly wagging, a sentinel even after the immediate danger had passed. The bond between human and dog had reached a new depth, trust, loyalty, and courage forged in the crucible of seconds. Mark added, "You know, it's not just strength." Titan read the situation, judged the time, and acted. He wasn't just pulling a chair. He was making decisions under pressure that would challenge most humans. George nodded, still processing, tears freezing slightly in the cold afternoon air. I don't even know how he knew, how he just acted like that. Incredible. Finally, after the adrenaline settled, George carefully maneuvered away from the tracks, Titan walking beside him, alert but relaxed. The crowd began dispersing, still talking about what they had just witnessed. It wasn't just survival. It was a lesson in instinct, loyalty, and the extraordinary intelligence animals can display when lives are on the line. Titan had proven that heroism can come in any form. Size, breed, or training mattered, yes, but what mattered most was courage, presence of mind, and an unwavering commitment to protect the one you love. In seconds, he had saved a life, an act that would be remembered, retold, and admired for years to come. George knelt, hugging Titan again, whispering softly, "You're more than a dog. You're my hero." Titan blinked slowly, ears twitching, tail flicking, acknowledging the words in his own way, proud yet modest. The Great Dane had acted decisively when it mattered most, embodying loyalty, courage, and heart in the purest form. By the time the train had thundered past, George's heart was still racing. The seconds that had felt like eternity were over, but the impact of what had just occurred lingered heavily in his chest. He looked down at Titan, chest heaving, eyes bright and alert, fur dusted with a thin layer of dust and grit from the platform. The Great Dane had done something extraordinary, something no human could have done alone, and something George would never forget for the rest of his life. People on the platform were still whispering, some applauding, others simply staring in disbelief. Witnesses had captured photos, some even videos, but nothing could fully convey the tension, the timing, the sheer courage Titan had displayed in those critical seconds. Every movement, every bark, every shift of his massive body had been perfectly timed to save a life. George knelt beside Titan, hugging him tightly, tears running freely down his cheeks. I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. "You just saved my life, Titan." Seconds, it was just seconds. Titan leaned into the hug, tail flicking gently, acknowledging the gratitude in his own calm, intelligent way. He didn't need praise. He had acted instinctively, with loyalty and courage, and that was enough. Mark, George's caretaker and longtime friend, came forward, still visibly shaken from the scene. "I've never seen anything like it," he said softly. A dog reading the danger, acting faster than anyone could think, saving a life with that kind of precision. Incredible. He knelt beside Titan, running his hands along the dog's thick fur. Titan wagged his tail faintly but remained vigilant, still scanning the platform as if to make sure no other danger remained. The story of Titan's bravery spread quickly. Local news picked up the incident, highlighting how a dog had acted in mere seconds to save a human life. People marveled not only at his size and strength, but also at his intelligence, his ability to judge the situation under pressure, and his unwavering loyalty. Comments poured in online. Disbelief, admiration, and gratitude from viewers all over, recognizing the extraordinary courage of a companion animal. For George, the event was life-changing. He realized that heroism doesn't always come in uniforms, medals, or trained professionals. Sometimes it comes with fur, for legs, and eyes that refuse to turn away from danger. Titan had demonstrated an instinctive intelligence, acting decisively to protect a life when human reflexes alone might have been too slow. The bond between human and dog was more profound than ever, forged in the intensity of seconds where every decision counted. In the following days, Titan received extra care and attention. Vet checks confirmed he was physically fine, but the story emphasized his emotional strength and resilience. 8-year-old or not, young or mature. A dog's instinct combined with training could achieve feats that often seemed impossible. George made sure Titan was rewarded, not just with treats and affection, but with praise, recognition, and an understanding that his actions had changed a life. The incident also inspired the local community. People discussed the role of service and companion animals in daily life, the importance of trust between humans and their pets, and the unexpected ways bravery can manifest. Titan had become more than a pet. He was a hero, a living testament to courage, loyalty, and action under pressure. George often recounted the story to friends, family, and anyone who would listen. "I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him," he said. "Those were seconds I can never get back," and he didn't hesitate. He just acted. For those listening, it was impossible not to feel awe, gratitude, and a sense of the extraordinary bond between human and dog. Finally, as the adrenaline faded and the afternoon light softened into evening, George wheeled himself to a safer area of the platform, Titan walking faithfully beside him, alert but calm. The train tracks were behind them. The danger had passed, and yet the lesson remained clear. Courage and loyalty can come in the most unexpected forms. Titan had risked his own safety to protect George, acting with intelligence, instinct, and heart. The story ended not with fear, but with gratitude, reflection, and admiration. For viewers watching, it posed questions that linger. How would you react if someone you loved were in immediate danger? Could you trust instinct and a loyal companion to save you in mere seconds? Titan's actions were a reminder that heroism doesn't always wear a uniform, and sometimes the smallest decisions, actions taken by a trusted friend on four legs, can mean the difference between life and death. And as George and Titan left the platform together, the Great Dane's silhouette strong and vigilant against the late afternoon light, it was clear this wasn't just a rescue. It was a testament to loyalty, courage, and the extraordinary bond between humans and animals. A few seconds, a massive dog, and a life saved. That was all it took.